There we go. And action. Hey, sorry about this, but it's late breaking. Actually, now breaking. I don't know what the term is. It's breaking. California United States Senator Alex Padilla has been taken into custody and detained. I'm not going to say that he's been actually arrested, but witnesses report him having left a congressional softball or baseball game early enough last night to have made it back in time to California today. Now we know one of the meetings he had scheduled for today. By now, you may have seen plenty of video circulating on him barging into a press conference being held by somebody, as you already know, I'm no fan of, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. This was apparently at one of the federal or FBI buildings in downtown Los Angeles. I say FBI because that's who actually eventually took Padilla, Senator Padilla, into custody. I'm not sure where. I wasn't rushing to get on the air. I know we're cutting into Mates Helping Mates, but we'll get back to that as soon as I get you updated on what we know so far. He mentioned half a dozen, and with what came out, it doesn't sound like he was talking about people who were arrested by, most likely, ICE. I'm not going to speculate yet. I'm not going to speculate at all. He did, my opinion, what I will speculate on is an area where I have expertise, and that is body language and police tactics. We'll talk about how he was handled and perhaps maybe how he should not have been handled. But we'll also talk about this guy's more than just a little pissed off. He knows something. And by the level of pissed off that he is, it looks like it's something pretty big. That's all I'll say about that, because that's all we know. This is from NBC Los Angeles. This is a 54-second clip from inside the room that follows him into the hallway as he's forced there by what appears to be DHS agents and also FBI police. They're not agents, but that's neither here nor there. They are FBI, but they are from the uniformed police that is the FBI. They're not special agents, and that's fine.
Sir, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary.
Okay, now that's the first I'm actually hearing that part. Everything I've heard and seen up to right now, I didn't know he identified himself as a United States Senator. I don't care who you are. You're not going to aggressively come at my protectee, who in that case is the Secretary of Homeland Security. I'll tell you what I am going to do. I'm going to treat you a lot better than these guys treated him once I know things have de-escalated. You do not treat a U.S. Senator like these guys did. That's not okay. Watch the rest.
Because the fact of the matter is, a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your.
See, right there, a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on. There have been plenty of rumors that, all I'll say right now, based on what I know and what we kind of sort of have so far, there have been plenty of rumors that some of these so-called ICE agents are pardoned January 6th felons. And I'm still going to call them felons because that's what they are. And it's been alleged that is the reason why many of them are wearing balaclavas, also known as ski masks. He's a U.S. Senator. He is a newer U.S. Senator, but a U.S. Senator nevertheless. I would hope that in a short time on the Hill, he has successfully made some friends who could have slid him information that he was about to blurt out to the media, in front of the media, before being pushed out of the room. Here's what happened in the hallway.
How many of our ICE agents have been docked?
You hear Kristi Noem talking in the background. She's just continuing. There's pros and cons of that. Pros in that you're taking attention away from the commotion, which is not likely going to happen. Cons is while everybody is paying attention to the commotion, they're not paying attention to you. And so sometimes it's often said to just let security, whoever that is, put down the disturbance. If you don't do it, I mean, I've seen Barack Obama talk to hecklers rather classy and tell the staff to not kick them out, but to instead be heard out, and then it's his turn. So you can see he is surrendering. His hands are up as high as they can go with 3 people hanging on his back. What you see there, the gentleman with his back to us and his head shaved, you see FBI on his back. He's not an agent. The FBI has their own police department, uniformed police, just like we did at the Secret Service. Ours is called the Secret Service Uniform Division. I believe theirs is simply called FBI Police. No need to get creative more than either one of those names does already. It identifies who they are, and that's all you need. I'm saying that because FBI Police, like much of the Secret Service Uniform Division, is charged with the responsibility of protecting physical assets, i.e. buildings. Sometimes that's inside, such as when there's a protectee in an otherwise public space, such as a press conference. Here's some areas where I have issue.
On the ground. Hands behind your back.
Okay, now if you were paying attention to the earlier part of this video, you would have heard him say, "My name is Senator Alex Padilla." I'm not going to put a U.S. Senator on their knees. He's bigger than I would probably be. He looks like a pretty big dude. He does have knees. If he does not appreciate the favor that I'm doing, and I will make that clear to him very verbally, I'll make that very clear to him. You get to stay on your knees if you stay well behaved. Or excuse me, you get to stay on your feet if you stay well behaved. You resist like inside the room, you're going to go down. because that knee bends forward, it doesn't bend back. And at that point, if we now know who each other is, and he wants to resist more, sucks to be you. But he is compliant at this point. There's no reason to put a U.S. senator on their knees when they're compliant like that. Maybe this, and you see this time, this guy's to the front, the guy in the hat. You see FBI on his chest. This says FBI police. Maybe that is their policy, that everybody, doesn't matter who, goes down to their knees. At the Secret Service, we are trained to deal with opposing sides like this. I would presume, well, no, I know that the Capitol Police is equally as trained and more so. Senator Charles Schumer of New York has called the behavior by the law enforcement disgusting. Up until just now, I would have disagreed with that, because up until just now, I was of the impression they did not know he was a U.S. senator. He is also, Senator Schumer is also very accustomed to, and most likely knows many, of the United States Capitol Police. There are 535 members of Congress, and each Capitol Police officer is required to be able to recognize all 535 members by face and name. I'm glad I'm not with the Capitol Police, because I suck with names. So I think that's what Senator Schumer is more accustomed to, is being treated, no matter how pissed off you are, with a little bit more class and respect. FBI, who deals with terrorists more than they do with senators, you see where I'm going? I think there's a sociological issue at hand here as to why he may be really on his knees, as opposed to them using poor tactics. There is something that happens next that's pretty basic. They've got both of his arms. And I think at one point he leans on one of them because of he's in what's called a position of disadvantage. And they tell him to put both hands behind his back. Well, if he's leaning on one of them, he can't put it behind his back. Now, can he? Not without falling onto his face, with three guys still hanging on him. I don't think I want my prisoner to be bloodied because of my verbal mistake. And that's what's about to possibly happen. It doesn't, but he points it out to them, which is bad.
Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go ahead, put them behind my back.
All right. Cool. Hands with your hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
That's why he resisted right there, was because he was going down on his face. And usually with some actual bad guy, we'll be a little less concerned about that. Concerned nevertheless. But he didn't hit his face, so it's a good day.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
Okay, I would never put my feet in between his feet while his knee is where it is. That agent in the short, and I think he's a DHS agent. I would never expose myself. I would never let him inside. What that means is there's 3 zones in ground, especially, but hand-to-hand combat: interior and 2 exteriors. So head on in, a vital area, and then the sides where you are less vital. However, you can still get leverage and control your opponent. If you're going straight in, you better be stronger and willing to sacrifice a little bit. Usually, medical professionals rank that little bit as about 5% of your body, if you know where I'm talking about. That step over top is a bad mistake.
There's no recording loud out here.
Okay, that's something I don't agree with. I don't know exactly where they're at, but they just came from a press conference right inside that room. There's recording allowed in here. And so what I think this looks like, whether it is or not, is them trying to muscle and quiet the press, which we've already talked about a couple times this week. And the press doesn't necessarily have to be a news agency like us or legacy news. Freedom of the press and freedom of speech can be a person with a cell phone and with a cell phone camera. I think the person identifies himself, or it sounds like a man, and identifies himself as a friend. At this point, I don't know if that friend has been given instructions. Excuse me, I'm burping up lunch. I don't know if that friend has been given instructions to not say anything. But I'm thinking, if these are my days back with Hillary Clinton and she ran into a John McCain press conference, I don't know, or a George W., if she ran into Tom Ridge, George W.'s press or Homeland Security Secretary, and objected to something, and this was in the process of happening, if I was a staffer, not an agent, a staffer, and I was filming this, either for posterity or for evidence or for protection, in case something bad does happen to my boss, it's on video, I'm not going to stop. There's no video, there's no recording in here. Okay, you made your decision, now enforce it. Isn't that what Vice President Vance has said to the Supreme Court? I would say the same thing. I would also say I'm his attorney. I'm recording it. That's a lie. They can figure it out later. I'm sure a powerful U.S. Senator is going to help me out. And as far as there's no recording, usually in government office spaces, there is no recording. However, for 21 years, I've been told about what's called OPSEC, which is an abbreviation for Operational Security, meaning that any sensitive paperwork on my desk is not on my desk. It's in a drawer. It's in a cabinet. It's put away safely where it belongs. None of them are wearing body cameras. If that officer who's off camera said there's no recording in here, well, he's already recording. That should have then been followed up with you have to delete that file. He didn't say that. Also, what makes me feel like he's more strong-arming than anything. Again, I would have said a few choice words politely. Or I would have said I'm his attorney. I'm his chief of staff. I'm recording. I wouldn't have stopped like he's about to.
I did not know. There's no recording allowed out here per update.
So he said, I didn't know. And then you hear there's no recording.
You look great, but welcome back to...
And as Jimmy Fallon and Gerard Butler. So there's that. If you have any questions, I'll take any calls. I did miss a call. It was from an 800 number, so I know it wasn't any of you. And it wasn't my 800 number. So I know it wasn't any of my people calling in. Superfan Ken sends some really good choice words. Yeah. I mean, this stuff like this is frustrating, no doubt. It's not helping. Could that senator have done something different and maybe been more impactful? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know exactly where this press conference was being held. That's one question. And the reason why that's a question is because what kind of access does he have? And who's securing the building that he gained access to? Yes, he's a U.S. senator. You know what? That doesn't really mean he's got access to anywhere he wants to go. Especially if that was a secure area. Which means maybe he was permitted, that person recording was permitted to do that. He's not recording. Well, I guess it kind of was. He's not. Usually one of the things we won't allow is when we have a checkpoint and there's a broader, more exposed visualization of part of our security plan. We will post outside in an otherwise public space that this is what's called a federal protective zone. No photography allowed. But that's posted. It's made very clear for security reasons that you cannot photograph or film in that area. And it's because somebody doing so would be presumed to be gaining intelligence, as opposed to, this is me at the Trump thing. Yeah, no. I mean, even photos like that are not allowed. Go do it somewhere else in the building with the stage as a backdrop, not the magnetometer checkpoint. Magnetometers are the correct name for metal detectors. Superfan Ken says to go take a look at what Gavin Newsom wrote on Twitter. So let me log into Twitter. And find Gavin Newsom. Okay, well, there's two accounts. There is there's one. Yeah, this is a good point, and this is exactly what I've been told. You always treat any U.S. senator or congressman, when they're on the Hill or at an official event, just like we do, they wear lapel pins that identify them as a sitting member of Congress, man or woman. There is a pin that they wear identifying them as a sitting member of Congress. Their spouses get a pin also identifying them accordingly. And you see somebody wearing that pin, they're called hard pins because they're jewelry. We wear the same thing. Well, their pin is a little harder than yours, if you get what I'm saying. And you treat people like that with a lot of respect. He said he's a U.S. senator. He did not mince words when he identified himself accordingly. This is Gavin Newsom, from his personal account, saying if they can handcuff a U.S. senator for asking a question, imagine what they will do to you. I've been saying that. Why do you think I want you going to my website instead of social media? Because I control the website. I know where that server is. The government does not. And I'm working on getting something other than Twitch being the streaming platform to it. Not that Twitch is bad. It's just that Twitch is here. I think. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But yeah, that's a concern. Also, Gavin, I actually met and slightly got to know the guy. Also, Governor Newsom is said, Senator Alex Padilla is one of the most decent people I know. This is outrageous, dictatorial, and shameful. Trump and his shock troops are out of control. This must end now. Turns out chasing hard week, this is something else with the, but Donald Trump posted, this is likely Truth Social. Our great farmers and the people in the hotel and leisure business have been stating that our very aggressive policy on immigration is taking very good long-time workers away from them, with those jobs being impossible to replace. In many cases, the criminals allowed into our country by the very stupid Biden open borders policy are applying for those jobs. No, they're not. No, they're not. Oh. We must protect our farmers, but get the criminals out of the USA. Changes are coming. And to which Governor Newsom replied, turns out chasing hardworking people through ranches and farms and snatching women and children off the streets is not a good policy. Who knew? Yeah, a lot of people that are MAGA morons are being just that towards Gavin Newsom. I think he's going to be some people don't agree because he's too far left. No, he's also very adaptive. He's no dummy. He was further left when he was the mayor of San Francisco. And now he became the governor of California, which has a very conservative population. And he represented everybody. I want to keep this more towards, though, without getting into his politics, I want to keep this more towards the events of Senator Padilla. If any of you have any questions, Twitch is San Francisco, California based, according to Superfan Ken. So that's at least a little bit of positivity towards my security. I know from my time in San Francisco, the Silicon Valley was not law enforcement friendly until they needed it. So maybe I'm secure that way. So Superfan Ken says there's a video of that. I'm not really sure what you're talking about because I don't know exactly when this came in. But Trump is talking to the press about 2 hours ago about something. Either that policy that Gavin Newsom was commenting on, most likely, probably, or coming after my website. The policy, Ken says, yep, I'm guessing that's the policy. Or if my website's down, we'll know I guessed wrong. So 8 p.m. tonight, Oilers at Panthers, Stanley Cup. It's raining outside here in Tampa. The policy. Yeah, I figured as much, Ken. Thanks, pal. All right. If there are no more questions, thanks everybody for joining. You can continue to send questions by sending them to NEWZ, NEWZ, at Yergz, YERGZ.com. And if there are any major developments between now and tomorrow's show, I'll certainly come back on. If not, I'm going to send you back to Mates Helping Mates from Perth, Australia, and our sister company, Dare Media Group. Let me check the chat one more time. Yep. On this one, this is the Mastiff Media Network. We're not on any of our terrestrial stations for this, but we have been. This does go out to Yergz Radio, Rainbow Radio, Right Talk Radio, that's our conservative side, Forward Radio, our progressive side, and even our up-and-coming sports station, as well as the Mastiff Media, as well as the Dare Media Group's stations that were doing the replay of the earlier Up the Middle show until half an hour ago when Mates Helping Mates started. Let's go to the last half hour. And then if I don't see you sooner, looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Thanks for joining. Again, news at Yergz.com, news with a Z at Yergz.com if you have any more questions. Good night.